The
Politician have to try wisen up and get real, man. We get a youth right now. Right now, with the struggle out there right now, we have to try to some way. So right now, the inner sun hat the grind. They try to make something. If you not try to make something, nobody I give
man make back a promise, one thing need for real. Feel it in my heart when they get a youth so far. So you know, say me have it talk. Me tell us that who want make it better for wait. Them not say me can feed me little picnic.
out there rough, we need some for though. Get the sense that's why crime rate and things so high.
Me can't find a job, so me can't get no money. Me can't credit no chicken from no Chinese. Who want make it better for wait. Tired of saying your country no poverty. You go to school and me know say belly empty. We up the big heads out of them.
Economic development of Belize. Your own economic development, that is the availability of jobs. What program does this party have? What program does this candidate have to give you so that at least he can earn your vote? Your vote is not something to be bought or paid for. Your vote is something that he ought to earn. The candidate has to earn. The party has got to earn. Otherwise, there's no reason to vote for them if they're going to be giving you the same thing over and over and over again. So what I am talking about here is economic development. That is, improve the school for my children, improve the transportation for us, greater mobility so that we can move from and around the nation much, much better, more industries, better paying jobs, more jobs, and all of the factors that go with personal improvement. When you have a decent home, your children are going to learn to aspire for something a little better than they had. There was a man, Mr. George Cayetano, who told me one day that parents are people who imitate. Students are people who imitate and learn from others, but children are born into the area in which they are born into. And the other thing that we should remember is this: the aspiration and the ambition of children, the ambition of our young people is only as great and it's only as deep and it's only as far as the world they know. Therefore, if all they know is what dress am I going to be pretty in, if all they know is how much at Punta Rock I can do, if all they know, if all they do is where do I live? Do I live in Belize City so that I can think of myself to be superior to others? If all they know is I live in the town, therefore I'm better off than those people in the villages. If that's all they know, that's all they'll aspire for. So what I am talking about is economic development. Here we are talking about a port so that tomorrow our children know what a port is, how to deal with a port, and what to do with the port. They know traffic, road, investment in our own resources. We'll be talking about the reef in a very short while, what that means to us. I mean, I have mentioned over and over again the expansion of industries. In other words, we need better citrus, and not just the expansion in the quantity of oranges that we produce, but rather the value added to oranges. In other words, so far, the only thing that we do with orange is eat it. We drink the juice, we eat the orange. Why can't we do more products? Why can't we develop other products out of that fruit orange? Perfume is just one, and there are quite a few others. The same thing with banana. The only thing we do with banana is eat it. Why can't we develop much, much more out of banana? The wheat, the flour that we have here is not. You don't grow flour. You grow wheat. You get flour out of wheat in your own kitchen. When you eat the cereals that you have at home, those are products that come from wheat. Some of them are from barley. Some of them are from oats, etc. In other words, value added. It's not simply that. Let's take the situation of petroleum. If all you think that petroleum gives is gasoline, then you just have missed the biggest industries and development that petroleum is an incentive for. Petroleum, just look around your house. There's just about nothing in your house that's not made from petroleum. But that's not gasoline. So when we are talking to our students, we have to sort of try to expand the vision, expand their aspiration, expand their hope, expand their school days so that they can try to aspire to be this or that. That is better than what mom and dad were. That's economic development. When it comes to the power of the vote, too many of our people don't quite understand the power of the vote and the power that they hold in their hands as far as the direction the country goes. What we need, what the student needs to understand, and not just the student, what the voter needs to understand is that when you vote, whatever it is that you vote for this person for, that's all you get and that's what you get. So that if you're voting for the person therefore simply because he's a friend of yours, that's all you get. And if you're voting for a person simply because he's a party member, that's all you get. Now, what about what you need? What about the things that are going to develop you as an individual? What about the things that your family needs, your children need, your school needs, your society needs, your surrounding needs? Let's say, for instance, when you get sick, is it that you're going to run to your friend because he's a friend, or you need a hospital or medical attention to be able to deal with when you get sick? The prevention of illness, which is a very major factor in health. What do you do with that? If there is no program within the platform of that organization or that political party or that political candidate that's coming to you, when he cannot speak to you about what you could and should do or what you should do so that you can be healthy, so that your children can be healthy, they eat well enough, they have a home that they can go back to, they have parents that they can rely on. That's not simply a matter of, this is my friend, how pretty do I look, how good can I do the punta, or what language I speak, whether I speak this or that other language, whatever languages. No, all of these are the factors of your development. Now, when you leave Belize, let's say for instance as a student, when you have been trained here in Belize from elementary to high school, and you need higher education, where do you go? Can you cope out there where you are going to go to? And what aspirations do you have? Those are significant factors. So when it comes to education, when it comes to development, the environment in which you live will help you enormously in the direction that you go. Just take an example of most people who are born into an industrial family. Let's say, for instance, families that invest in anything. You can be talking about cars, you can be talking about citrus, you can be talking about restaurants, you can be talking about fishing. The people who can easiest learn and understand what goes into these industries are those who are born into them, or those who study the industry. Our students need to understand that. Not too long ago, roughly 2 weeks ago, I was out there on the streets, and I was just talking to some people, and I told them, and they told me that regardless of how they vote, it's going to be the same thing. My answer to that, to the people that I was speaking to at the time, was, it can be the same thing if you choose it to be the same thing. If all you want from them is the same thing that they have been giving to you, that's all you are going to get. But this is the time for you to tell them, what program can you come up now with so that at least you can earn my vote? They told me that some of the things I'm talking about when I talk about economic development is something that they have been offered. I tell them, no. You have never ever been offered economic development of this nation. You have never been. What they like to show you is what they claim they have done. Therefore, because of that, you are supposed to vote for them because they say or they claim that they're going to continue that into the future. You don't vote for what you have already accomplished. You vote for what is yet to be accomplished. And in this case, we are talking about economic development. We are talking about a port for the economy, for the south of the country, and for the entire country as a whole. You are talking about the development of the reef. You're talking about the development of highways so that we can have greater industries, more facilities, more transportation, more mobility within the country. That's what we vote for because that's what we don't have. We have had our political independence, fine and good. We have achieved that. We should be thankful for it. However, from here on, it's economic development, and we have been failing in this over the last 200 and odd years. So, where we are now is not where we were in the past. It's not the same thing. If we want it to be the same thing, it's going to be the same thing. But if we want something different, we have to be something different. We have to ask for something different. This is where we tell the politicians, this is where we tell the canvassers, I don't want you to give me glib answers, that is quick and fast answers. I want you to show me, from the caliber of the candidate, how much better can I expect of him. If he's a person who just doesn't know his foot from his head, how can you expect better from him? As a matter of fact, that's one of the major problems we are having today. You can have people in the cabinet itself. You can have people as ministers. Yesterday, that was somebody out there on the street who didn't know where to go, what to do, and what government would be. By tomorrow, when he's voted in the government, by tomorrow he becomes a minister. All of a sudden, he's going to tell professionals what to do and how to think. He's going to be the one to guide and direct the economy of this nation, guide and direct the development of this nation. It's our responsibility to make sure that the people we have out there are better people. Make sure the candidate knows that if he cannot answer your questions, that if he cannot show that he's superior to those that you have been voting for, then that's not the person to vote for. That's why I emphasize the fact that a political party has to have a decent platform. It has to have a plan of development. It has to show that it is indeed going to be something better than where we were. What I'm talking about here, when I talk about a port, with where we are right now, what we need to do is we have to expand to the highest and the most sophisticated system of transportation and the port system that we have. Therefore, we will need to aspire towards a port like this. This is the Houston port, and we are going to try to see how we can utilize some of the facilities and the expertise, the relationship that we can possibly have with this port. Here is another portion, and here's another shot of the port also. This shot here has the boats, loading and unloading, and the equipment that are necessary to be able to load and unload a boat off a port. And here is another one that we are showing you also, just so we can start understanding what it is that we are trying to get and we are trying to go. And we don't have to wait for 20, 30 years to get here. We can start with what they have right now, the facilities and the possibilities that we have here. We are looking at the possibilities of exporting of oil. This is an oil depot on a port. So we should be able to look at this and see how we could possibly aspire to do something like this and do it now. Not 20, 30 years from here, but aspire to be able to do better in the next 20, 30 years. But we start with something that is very, very efficient at the moment. And the cruise ship also is another thing that we have been talking about and we keep talking about. Here is a cruise ship docked on the wharf, docked directly on the wharf. We have the deep sea right here at Commerce Bay to be able to do this so that the cruise ship can come and dock right on the wharf itself, on the port. At the same time also, this is a cruise ship I'm talking about, but here are the containers. We need to have a good number of containers, and these are the containers that we would use to import and export. Not necessarily this quantity of experiment of containers at the very, very beginning, but that's the aspiration, and that's what we are trying to go after. So when we are talking about a port, we are not talking of simply a matter of having a port. No, we are looking at where Belize is going to go. We don't want to look backwards, neither do we want to say we have this, therefore we are comfortable with this, we are satisfied with this, because we are not satisfied with what we are. We are not satisfied with what we are doing. We need to expand and project towards a future. That is a significant thing here. I'm not trying to talk about any building something simply because we want to build it and we are thinking of it in the old fashion. No, what I'm trying to speak of is projection into the future. Where we are and where we should be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. That is the basic idea that we are talking about here. Obviously, we don't start with where we are going to be at in the next 50 years, but we begin somewhere where we can indeed make a difference. And in 5 years from now, we can show what we have done. We can show where we have improved. We can export some more. We can expand our industries. We can move, we have a much greater mobility as far as the port is concerned. But at the same time, we need the highway for that. And that is where the coastal highway comes in. The linking of the north to the south of the country of Belize. And we will be talking about that in a short while. So, this is the highway I'm talking about. The way we have been doing it all this time is going from Dangri to Belmopan, from Belmopan to Belize City. That's not good enough, and that cannot get us anywhere. We need to go from Dangri to Belize City directly, and from this is the cutoff into Hatteville. From here through Boone, through the Northern Highway, into the north for Orange Walk, possibly the use of this port for shipping and exporting sugar, into Corozal, and into Mexico. Because once we are here, there is absolutely no reason as to why we cannot serve Mexico. And just let's take a look at the map here. All right, here is Belize right here. This portion of Mexico is internal and cannot sustain a port. Therefore, there is no reason why Belize cannot serve all of this region of Mexico right here, Quintana Roo and the neighboring areas. There's absolutely no reason why we cannot. For that, we will obviously need international relationship. But the idea is that we can indeed serve that area here. And the same thing goes for Guatemala. We can also serve Guatemala as a result of that. And we can also serve Honduras and the surrounding areas. But another factor that we have to look at on this is that the Caribbean is the front into not just the Caribbean and the Caribbean islands, but all of the eastern section of the United States. From Florida all the way down to, all the way up to Boston or anywhere else that we want to talk about there. Houston is right over here, a major shipping and exporting area of the United States. We can serve all of these areas, not only for to be a part of the Caribbean, but to be a part of the Central American area also, and anything that is eastern here. The second important thing about that is, this is the outlet to Europe, to Africa. So we need a port here in Belize so that we can serve not only the Caribbean areas, as such, not only the Central America as such, but not only to serve ourselves with the from eastern and the from eastern side of the United States, but we can also serve the nations that cannot actually get to it, which is this southern portion of Mexico, the eastern portion of Guatemala, through our port here. We have the capacity for it. We have the deep water, and there is no reason why we should do it, why we cannot do it. And the link and the connection to the Caribbean that we have often been speaking about, that is Belize as an outlet to the Caribbean, becomes very, very possible for us. But in the past, it has never been possible because we didn't have the port for it. These Caribbean nations deal with these nations also. They also deal with Mexico, and they also deal with Guatemala. These Caribbean nations can continue doing so, and we become the gateway to those areas. And we can talk about whether you're talking about the Greater Antilles or the Lesser Antilles, and possibly the northern portion of South America. To the port itself, use of containers, cruise ship, oil depot, the port itself, again a picture of the port itself, and the winches and loading facilities of the port. When it comes to the highway, that is the north-south highway that we are talking about, we need to be able to connect with the rest of the country, and the rest of the country connects with the other section of the country. North connected to the south, south connecting in south, and the east connected to the west, and we connecting as one. Here is a picture of the highway that I'm looking forward to having between the north and the south. This highway, we do have some highways like this because most of our highways are relatively similar to this. But we need to develop this. But to do that, we also need transportation system that is efficient, modern, fast, and competent. This is a trailer transportation system. The significance to this is the most modern way of transporting goods from one area of the country to the next. We have trains, all right, but for the moment, I think we can deal with the trailer system. That is, you load sugar, for instance. You load sugar in Orange Walk in a trailer system like this, 40, 50,000 tons of this. You load it there. The next place to unload it at is at the port, right here at the port. Whether you are dealing with this one, or you are dealing with this port, or you are dealing with this. We load our sugar in Orange Walk, we unload it into the ship. Not off the ship to a barge, not off the ship to the pier, but off the ship, of the container into the ship. And they will pick up a load from outside the ship onto the truck, the towhead. We load it onto this, and from here we take it to its destination, whether it's in the north, west, south, or at home. So these two are significant factors for the highway. This is what will make it possible for us to be able to transport large volumes of goods. The port will help us take it in and out of the country. This will mobilize it within the country and the nations that we are going to serve as we move about. So it's important that, let's say, for instance, in the West, when we talk about economic development, we are talking about the expansion of the industries. We are talking about the utilization and the mobilization of commerce and the mobilization of industries, mobilization of products from one portion of the nation to the next. And to be able to do that, we need the highways. Therefore, the highway system are a necessity. We have the south that is already, has the southern highway, and we have the northern part of the country that is the northern highway, and we have the western part of the country that is the western highway. However, there is no direct link between between the south and the north, which is a necessity if we expect to expand and unify the products of the north and the products of the south. We also need the port so that at least we can export, because without a port to export large bulk of material from, without a port to export and import also products in large quantity, it's going to be a waste of time, so to speak, to try to speak about the expansion of the industries of the nation, because we need the market to be able to sell to and expand what we have. We can provide more jobs, more employments, and we also provide better paying jobs, better paying employment, which would cover not only the fact of our productivity going out, larger quantities of export and import, and the serving of the neighboring countries that we have, but it implies a greater development of Belize. The fact that we can then not only expand our industries, not only increase our our use and our diplomatic relationship with our neighboring countries. But the most significant thing about it is it's a greater development for Belize. And we need it. Many, many times when we are talking about elections and when we are talking about development, all we are thinking of is a few jobs. But what about those jobs that are generated with the development itself, generated by the development itself, and the things that we can look at as possibilities for development as such? All right, one of the things that we can immediately look at when it comes to a big port, a port that serves a large number of people, not only Belize, but also the surrounding nations that we have, an industry of containers. That itself becomes an industry. Towheads, that itself becomes an industry. The fact of investing not only in Belize, but also investing in the surrounding areas, that is industry in itself. And all of the other things that industrialists, investors, and commercial people can think of, because they will have their way of finding what is most convenient for them to invest in, what is best for them to invest in, where they want to spend the money, and the returns are very, very good for them. And this kind of a development also affects our education system. It affects our infrastructure. The one infrastructure we are talking about right now is the port. The other infrastructure we are talking about is the road. But these two demand a lot more of our people. It's not going to be sitting down and wait for for tourism to come, wait for industry to come. That's not the way it happens. Industry is not something that we can go pick up from someplace like we do with a bag of sand or with a truckload of sand. There is no tourism out there from which we can shovel out some tourism to bring to Dangrig or to bring to the southern part of Belize or to bring to Belize as such. No. We have got to be the ones who develop ourselves from here, develop our industries from here, develop the ideas from here, to not only draw tourism to Belize, but utilize the facilities that we have to be able to serve ourselves as well as serve the international world a lot better. So what group or party or whatever it is that you're going to support, and when it comes to how you're going to vote, the most significant thing about voting is not so much what my party is doing or what this one is doing or what my candidate is doing as such. It is important, all right, but the point is, what do you want your party to do? What do you want from a campaign, from a political party and from your canvassers and from your campaigners and from your representative? The issue here is, it's not so much what they are going to give you. It's mostly what do you demand of them. And until and unless you understand what you need and the fact that you are going looking for improvement for yourself, you might find yourself voting for just about any person that comes to you. In this situation, what I'm talking about is the fact that we can then not only expand our industries, not only increase our our use and our diplomatic relationship with our neighboring countries, but the most significant thing about it is it's a greater development for Belize, and we need it. When you're dealing with your own children, the most important thing is, first of all, know what your child is competent in. What can he do? What does he like to do? What does he want to do? What is that he's aspiring to be? And as long as he have that talent for the idea that he has, and he's willing to work hard for it, the parents should just mostly support, encourage, and direct. Not necessarily to choose for the child. Each child regardless of what the profession of the parent is, he has his own competence, he has his own mentality, he has his own capabilities. The best thing to do with that child is put him in the school where he can best develop that talent. Give him all the facilities whereby he can best develop that talent. Give him all the opportunities that you can possibly give so that he can know where to go, how to go into it, and to direct himself. Those are significant factors of parenting. So when our child comes and all you see from the child is what is on the street, all he can speak about and the language that he uses is language from the street, that there's a failure within the home, there's a failure within the school, there's a failure within the education system that we're talking about.
Me tell her say, who want make it better for we? Them not say me can't feed me little picnic. Can't find a job so me can't get no money. You can't credit no chicken from the Chinese. Who want make it better for we? Tired of saying your country no poverty. You go to school and me know say belly empty. Me up the big heads out the road them hear me.
So that's why I don't know. I'm gonna try to reach out to the youths because the youths they're hungry out there and watch after this man do whatever for eat. It's not about robbery or killing or violence, but I'm about life, man, hungry.
We make the life better as them make life better. Police turn on the fire. They no realize that you're back at jail. None of your friends nah give you no heal. And you nah got no money if you get no liar. So you see that you can't get no bail. Enough people I believe them starving. And they feel the solution are foreign. Better you stay your youth or do your farming. Reap your coke or your banana or your planting. Come on, make it better for we. You know say me can't feed me little picnic. Can't find a job so me can't get no money. You can't credit no chicken from the Chinese. Who want make it better for we? I say your country no poverty. You go to school and me know say belly empty. Me up the big heads out the road them hear me. Long time as me auntie Eve when she used to cook the white rice with the breast sponge. You know the yes I go red the unity zone. Every dog fit it one bone. Because me grew up in a poverty. But me now make the things them bother me. It not stop on me, now bring no disgrace for me family. Hope say you hear me. Cause when 12 o'clock time come around, some ID like you cover around. Youth, give thanks if you get some touch the road from morning and I get none. See, better get to the girls and they get on youths. Me not got in the lie, me telling you the truth. The road I get rougher, the journey get tougher. Hope and pray for life better. Who want make it better for we? You know see, me can't feed me little picnic. Can't find a job so me can't get no money. You can't credit no chicken from the Chinese. Who want make it better for we? Tired of seeing your country no poverty. You go to school and me know say belly empty. Me up the big heads out the road them hear me.